the unyielding warrior, an undying light, a word of levity that breaks the night. This tale is told through fire and flame of LEVIK the mighty, forever his name. With sword unsheathed, the Draco's bane, through blood and shadow we carved his fame. A time remembered, a soul in pain, but love remains. LEVIK the mighty, LEVIK the mighty. Battles won, yet scars remain. He bore the way through loss and gain. Lovers came and lovers went, children born, his sanity spent. With sword unsheathed, the Draco's bane, through blood and shadow we carved his fame. A time remembered, a soul in pain, but love remains. LEVIK the mighty, LEVIK the mighty. Ballads sung, sagas written, legends rise though time has bitten. Still he stands, a flame unyielding, LEVIK the mighty, forever wielding. Oh, I, whoa, eh, whoa, I, whoa, eh, whoa, I, whoa, eh, with sword unsheathed, red Draco's bane, through storm and sorrow we earned his name. The songs still echo, the truth remains. Forever LEVIK, LEVIK the mighty, LEVIK the mighty, LEVIK the mighty, LEVIK the mighty.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the World of Sasquatch. Today's episode is being recorded on 10/2/25. We're here with David Purcell today. You saw him from the last conference videos that we did before. So before we go into anything, I now open the circle to true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So, Joanna?
We are all one. And when one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, that only the highest good be done. We pray for you, your friends, your family, your loved ones, to let healing energies in. Let them love you, let them nourish you, and let them bring you to your highest good. We pray for ourselves, our friends, our family, our loved ones, to let healing energies in. Again, to let them love us and nourish us and bring us to our highest good. We ask for benevolence now to come in with no conflicting agenda, to be with us now as we have this conversation, so that we may have it in great understanding. And we ask for malevolent and mischievous type beings to be swept away, so that we may have this conversation in peace. And with that, and with great blessings that we always send your way, we say, so be it.
And so be it.
So be it.
This was more of an impromptu titling kind of thing. I was speaking to, everybody knows who Richie McGreevy is. He's been on this program a number of times. His guide's name is LEVIK. He's an Anakim warrior. That's the progenitor race, but for the Sasquatch, where he has people have seen us talk about him in the past. Big metal armor, mechanized weaponry, the whole bit, kind of like basically the Voltron of the Sasquatch world, basically. And so, yeah, he got a kick out of me saying that one. But he, for the longest time, was gone. And for many years, since like 2019, he was a little bit off and on, but then he was gone for a while. And found out he went through a lot of hell back, getting rid of Draco, getting rid of Orion's, getting rid of some of the bad guys. He's the warrior of the bunch. So he's back now, and he's more back in his jovial space. Before, he had almost gotten compromised. We got real ugly. We didn't see from him forever. Now he's back into it. Back in Japan was the last time he really channeled with us. When he tried coming through periodically before, he wasn't himself. Now he's his real self back again. And even they, I found out, can get alters. They can get weird personality glitches, get taken over by bad guys, and sometimes your guide actually will get killed out there and replaced too. I have seen this a number of times. This I thought had happened to him years ago, but he's actually legitimate, back in the saddle now, and he's back being the goofball self he was. Makes Isaac have a run for his money for sometimes. So it's like I find this funny because he just basically wants to do more of a Q&A type of thing, maybe give a little bit of his history and tell everybody what happened. Since I had to delete the other recordings he did because some of the altar was spitting through at times, and he didn't want that. That's like somebody passing the spirit, and then you have a picture of them from when they were sick or ill before they passed away or something. That's kind of how he felt about the other recordings. So it was like, he's like, nah, how about we start fresh? That kind of thing. So if I could describe him, he's actually sitting outside where I can see him off this direction, more towards our fire pit. If I could get a height on him, he's roughly 10 feet plus, and larger head, kind of like big, broad shoulders, like you'd expect a Frazetta art piece to be. Big mechanized armor, mechanized arm. He lost one of his arms, so it's just a mechanical arm. He carries a large sword with him, like you'd expect from Final Fantasy, so the Final Fantasy series. He's that kind of thing, almost an anime-ish type of persona. That's kind of what he carries with him. Kind of like in the Transformers movies, when all the Transformers came in, they selected their personalities. It's not unlike the whole AI spark argument, but only in this case, they think of some forest people or Anakim taking on kind of like our own kind of like cultural personality traits and such. This is kind of like how he is. That, and he would argue, I actually resemble that remark, but I also invented some of these things. Okay, so these that'll so all right. So all right. LEVIK, if you want to do this, let's do this. All right. All right. All right. It's a little tight in here, LEVIK. Can you raise the energy? It's a little crunchy in here. So let's see. Hmm? Okay. Yeah, yeah. I'm getting with it. Come on. Yeah, come on in. Okay.
Okay.
Despite what you may heard on any of the older programs about myself, only about a good chunk of it was true. There was some unfortunate yielding that took place in some of my former channelings and recordings. Also with Dear Richie, there was some similarities to yourselves at the time that it is understandable that certain recordings he wanted purged, as did I. Very much like if you would burn an old photograph of yourself that you didn't quite like. It's like that with the energy resonance, since both a recording and a photograph hold a temporal resonance vibrational value signature on them. I decided now was the time to come back and talk a little bit about what had taken place. Back in 2019, there was a skirmish that I had gotten into and got infected in my left eye, some nano bots that had gotten in my eye and had infected part of my brain. And thusly, I had to go into cryostasis. I could still talk from there, but it would be like if you had some flesh-eating bacteria eating away at you, you wouldn't really be talking too much if you were losing skin or if you were possessed by a ghost, a demon, or what have you. This was more of a mechanical demon presence. Your mouth was part of this as well. The same thing with black goo, etc., etc. Not even an Asgardian is immune to that, unfortunately. But in my time, also, during my time in that cryostasis, I found out several of my family members had passed away, including my daughter and her child, and her husband, and my son. But I have a son left and a grandchild in this. While I was in stasis at the time, some of my original channelings may not have been completely 100% reliable. Uh, I do apologize for this, but thus is the nature of the schism that evil can rot once it's rotting away at part of your mind. Now we are caught up, and I'm caught up with myself. I help the ones you call the Mozen hold back different bad guys, different Draco, including both the aquatic variety and the spatial variety, of which people have remembered me of the past being quite brutal against, but there are others of my kind that have been not so pleased with some of my temperament. Then, now I bring more humor and irony into it. I, just like you, David, and you and him here, do not tolerate shit from anyone. So, with that said, I actually would be glad to go into questioning.
Well,
I just wanted to say,
I just want to acknowledge your first. I'm so sorry for all your loss.
Hmm.
And I just want to acknowledge that. Go ahead, David.
I wanted to say thank you for all that you've done fighting for the Draco, and I'm very sorry the toll it took on you and your family, as well as everyone else who's been going through it. Just thank you for what you've done.
Hmm. Yes, I thank you for this. I actually could see some of this take place a little bit from the cryostasis. If I had not been infected, I could have probably changed the tides of war, but now back out of coming out of the closet, so to speak. Actually, that applies more to Isaac, but he could probably get into his little bit of what's the word flaming activities later. But trying to be humorous, but when I get into battle mode, it's more like what's the word you would say, a berserker. I was
Yes.
around at the time of, I'm actually quite old. I'm of the original Nakam lineages that were around around the time of the fall of Atlantis. And
Wow.
uh, I'm one of the last of the original strain before the energies of Earth took the Anakam lineages into the groups you know now of as Sasquatch forest people, uh, where the energies of Earth affected our kind as well. It affected dogmen, affected cat people. The energies of Earth can be quite chaotic. Also, the spaceships, magnetic and energy fields wreak havoc on instruments. It's hell in that area. It also can stunt lifespans, not just from genetic engineering, like what Enlil did to humanity, but the energies can, and toxins, and also some of the nuclear radiation, even from the times of Atlantis, temporal fracturing, you name it, can stunt aging. And also mutate some of our genome to the point you would think it would elongate uh, life. In some instances, it does not. In some instances, it does. Eventually, there will be a critical mass reached and an adaptation reached within the human genome structure as well as forest people. I myself, in the current day, my son and grandson, he lost his wife, unfortunately. Was raising a child that part Anakam, part what the closest term I can come up with is fairy elf. But the child I see him. He kind of reminds me of a Sasquatch with really long corn rolled dreadlocks. He is roughly the equivalent of the equivalent type age of your grandson, roughly four. So he would look human. Actually, if you saw him, he's not covered in hair. Uh, this is how some of that broke down in humans, along with cat people and dogmen. You didn't always see the hair. The people that have the hair all over the face, that those you can tell have dogmen genomic structures, where it grows along this part of the face. That's dogmen. They can get more into their history at some point. But they're not very talkative lately, actually. They're more secluded and reclusive now than ever they were before. But it's unfortunate. We've since made up. We used to have bouts with them over the centuries. Same thing with the garden variety. We'll say garden variety as a gag. No insult intended. Forest people and dogmen used to have rows back and forth, but now that has gotten more civil in recent days. People like to blame dogmen for being the largest assholes on the planet, which I can see where they got the reputation, but that's not actually true. The lizard people will fall more under that. But now,
Agreed, 100%. I said I agree with that one 100%.
Oh yes, yes. They take the championship belt for temperament and let's just say attitude problems. So that I usually have to deal with the most zen, or you call them the most zen, sometimes have to deal with, along with some of the other Cassiopean groups and witchery types as well, the ones you would see as sword and sandal sorcery types, or Jedi Sith variations came from more the Cassiopean sources. And that's where Lucas came up with a lot of the activity for what's in the Star Wars universe. Except for the Senate, that is often a different solar system, a different galaxy altogether. Fuma went more into that when he was on. Do you have other further questions?
Actually, I would like to know about your people's culture and history more. Like,
Hmm.
what is your like day-to-day lives like? What are your belief systems? What are
Hmm.
your arts? What are your musics like? Just general anthropology about your people.
It's interesting. The Anakam genetic strains came from the area of space you call the Pleiades. We came to
Okay.
this world or this planet quite some time ago. People think we evolved here. This is not exactly true. We were one of the seeding races millions of years ago. The only one that was around then who is actually literally older than dirt would be Tel Nurskis. He is literally over 65 million plus. He would say he's younger than this, but I count energy too. Literally than the older than the dirt you're walking on. but some of the progenitor type races, like you would see in your Babylon 5, the old ones, ancient ones types, or progenitor races from your Star Trek lore, he would fall under that category. Or your Lorien from Babylon 5, the original one type of thing. But with us, we are the next stage down from this to where we were the explorers. We wanted to explore the galaxy, seed, and create. And we came across this rock and this system long ago with other races seeded this planet during the Great Seeding. You would call that, let's say that time frame, roughly 65 million years ago. That's when the original Anakam progenitors decided to assist in the building of nature here, along with other elementals, creating also such beings such as fairy variations that were meant to guard nature. Some of the will-o'-the-wisp are like that as well. They created their own species since then and are still doing the same jobs. Some of them don't know when not to take the wrong side in a bout or row between factions, but we won't get into that. But some are just plain retarded. But I'm just saying that as time went on, we noticed that we as explorers also needed a warrior class as well for being in situations where we run into other species that also have their own militaries. So we formed a classification such as our grouping that, especially around the times of Atlantis, needed to exist. Our council was slightly more abhorrent to those levels of brutality. But we also noticed that we had to have a military force, a warrior classification, and a more of a monkish classification. A lot of different species have this. It's kind of a yin and a yang. We rolled with it. When this took place in our day-to-day lives, we actually, along with some of the patrols I do, I actually am into music, into more some of your movie culture, and some of your action movies, some of your, let's just say, not war movies, that's the wrong choice of words. It's more like, if it's a historical thing, fine, but more of like some of your Japanese animation. That's hence why I fashioned some of my armor after some of those looks. If you saw me, you would swear that I was in a Japanese anime cartoon. Because I fashioned, and my son also fashioned some of his after this. My passed on son, Lore Star, also did as well. He died in a bout with the with some of not necessarily the aquatic Draco, but some of the Alpha Draconis white types. Unfortunately, one got the best of him. I speak light of it because the mourning has already taken place with this. But as time went on, especially around the times of Atlantis, we knew that other guarding of our people was necessary. Not that we didn't guard our colonies and such before, but we noticed that as time went on, the bloodlines began to also spin different variations of ourselves, as well as your Anunnaki decided to spin other variations of ourselves with their genetic, just say, untethered egos. We'll just put it that way. Now, in the time frame I was born in, this is when some of this was taking place. The events that were taking place in when I was a child were roughly, not necessarily a child, excuse. Some of your temporal schisms are actually, excuse. Now, here we are. Roughly around just before your King Poseidon decided to go slightly mentally insane on Atlantis, and his brother Enlil decided to irradiate the planet's surface. I myself was a young adult. I was a child years before that. We age fairly slowly, so by human terms, I was in that state a very long time. So fast forward to now. What did that time frame look like from the times of Atlantis to now? What did our culture endure? We endured not only evolution, but prior de-evolution in our psyche. Some never recovered from it. Those are the beings in your Appalachia you referred to as face eaters. those were forcibly de-evolved. As servants, you would see these as baboon-ish beings that also you, in your myth and lore, you would call trolls. Others are these naked wild men of the woods in your Appalachia, also de-evolved humans that are that worship different demigods. Some of our people went that route to a certain extent. Most of us did not, and this became the moot of the forest people tribes. And the moot are whom gather with some of the remaining elders, Nakam elders, and we also decide on the day-to-day of our people. In our different tribes, it's just like the Native American tribe. You see, we got along with them great, at least some of them. That is before they decided to put us on reservations, what eventually happened to them. There was a misunderstanding with one of the Mexican demigods. I say misunderstanding, that guy was a bastard, but one of their snake gods, let's just put it that way, serpent again. But decided to make the natives think that one of our people stole one of their people, set them up, and there was a war about 3,000 years ago that you call the Bigfoot War. And some of our people were relegated to bits of land and or Sasquatch forest people were, and this is why you have territorial markers that eventually then the Native Americans saw that regurgitation in temporal history when the whites, also backed up by serpents and reptilians, decided to put them on reservation. So, the ones that started all the wars in between, both in a conquering sense and the wars of the tribes and the wars with us, being the descendants of those they hated and hated most from the Lemurian and Atlantean period. What we do in our day-to-day, the different tribes varies a little bit, but most are into music. Of the Sasquatch tribes, forest people, the remaining Anakam. But when I'm into music, I'm into movies, I'm into art and creation, drawing and writing as well. And this into basic creative arts. If I wasn't in the warriordom, I would be more or less in a what's the word I'm looking for? Cultivating more artwork in a museum type academic setting. Very similar to, not too dissimilar from Hajamal. But Hajamal decided that he wasn't going to learn yet about warriordom. He thought it was, nah, I'm going to go more brains and brawn. And unfortunately, that got him captured once, but we're not going to make fun of him over that. He was traumatized quite heavily over that. But,
Yeah.
Well, we'll never make fun of him over that because it happened to me. But I will, however, poke at him for the fact that he didn't actually learn to fight, but he has the mental psionic capacity of a bulldozer. So he can use this, but nothing says that you shouldn't learn how to use the sword at least once. I make fun because I love and I know he can hear me right now. He's listening heavily to this conversation. So I know I was long-winded, but thank you for your indulgence.
That was very good. My follow-up question is, since that you actually said that you live so long, do you experience time as like we do, like 1 second after another, or do you have like a different scale?
Oh no, I experience time 1 second after another just because I'm in a different frequency, just like with Hajimal. We still experience time the same, but if, say, you were like Elena Vesta, for instance, they're on Lanulos, but they're in a different dimensional space. It also depends uh, on the rotation of the Earth and the apogee that the Earth is currently at. Around this time of year in your Samhain time frame, the alignment with Lanulos and other frequencies is quite active. Approaching your Halloween, quite active. And this also creates a danger as well because it is literally like, say, if you had a quiet forest and somebody decided to light a forest fire. Uh, and this at the same time opening windows and doors in your home at the same time, letting all the flames in to swirl around on the inside and scorch the insides of your walls, but then leave the house standing. But then afterwards, you have to basically scrape all the char off and repaint. This is essentially what we do every year around this time. It's actually time honored, but at this point, well, I will answer the question a little bit better. In another frequency, sometimes there can be time lag, sometimes not. like where Hajamal goes between. Sometimes he's on Lonulus. Most of the time, you know where he does his teaching? Essentially within Tartaria. So
Is
that
that is that where I'm seeing him with his desk? With his
yes,
very nice
yes,
desk?
yes, that university that you speak
He's
of,
very
man.
proud of that desk.
Yes,
What?
is the university is in. He also has a character that's very much like him in Narnia as well. And so he here found this out when he looked into the Narnia material and found a character that was nearly exactly like Hachimal, the Degori character that's in that. It was very much like him. But take that, mix that with Harry Potter and the Wizarding World, and voila, you have Tartaria, or the Tartarian World Unity. That's a dimensional space that is just like in your Harry Potter, where literally you go through a pillar of a train station and you're in an alternate area that's just like it. And Lonulos, you step through a gate and you'd swear you were in the Nevada desert. Sort of. It's its own world, but then it has a planetary construct out in a different galaxy. And their own space fleet, everything, their own banking system, everything. Think of Harry Potter mixed with a little bit of Narnia, mixed with a little bit of a whole lot of Star Trek and a little bit of Star Wars, and you got what's going on. There is a time lag. Like if you were to go to Lonulos, at say in the springtime, and then come back, you'll notice that there a few days will have passed where it wasn't that long there. It's basic relativity as well. But since you have a quantum link, it's not going to be weeks and months and years, it's going to be days. Now you go there now, it's more time succinct. But yet, if you were to communicate with somebody from there right now, it would always be time succinct. It's a little weird. The physics are a little weird. It's hard to comprehend this. No, Isaac, it is not hard to comprehend for a bunch of muggles. No. Uh, that term is reserved for, well, let's just not use it. It can be used as a slur. That was actually meaning non-magical human, but there really isn't such a thing. It's just that it's more dormant. Uh, all the genetics have a propensity for this in what you would call latent introns or something like this, where it comes up with from the like you see in Star Trek, where everybody mutated into all these primordial creatures and such out of that retro T virus, whatever it was. But this, and also Doctor Who did this something similar in an anti-aging chamber. But with this, bringing talents back from the past and awakening the what you call the epipagenic DNA. Not all of it is true, mind you. There are some things that are total horseshit, but at the same time, there are some things that you want to bring out or bring in from other versions of yourself. Not the bad ones, but leave them out. They can kind of rot. But I'm just saying the time differential. If you were to go walk into some of the areas that I happen to cross, it's very much like in your Stargate Atlantis, where they had to walk into that time bubble or that space where people were locked in a little isolated bubble, and the Dr. Weir character crosses over and sees the Rodney character on both sides, and he goes, "Oh, that's weird. I've been here about 2 weeks." Yeah, that can happen that way when you're going on a patrol. Sometimes you'll see the same person 2 times as you're going along the patrol. It's a little weird. It has a kind of a Doctor Who-ish ring to it, but you are seeing sometimes the cause of the effect. Sometimes you're seeing the effect to the cause. It can get quite disoriented if you're not versed in certain quantum and temporal mechanics. It doesn't happen to me that often, I must say. It's weird. And it would be even weirder to a regular person. This is sometimes how they're meeting themselves. You know, just like in your Star Trek, where Picard met himself in a weird time loop that was never meant to take place. It's similar. The physics are similar, where sometimes you are crossing into another bubble where somebody did cross, eventually will cross, etc. It can be disorienting, especially with time fractures are involved. But the point is, I'll sum this up. When I'm on my patrol, I cross into some of these other worlds that are the worlds within worlds. And as I'm crossing in there, I may have just left somebody at home, and then somehow they're over there. Their intent was to surprise me over there. And for them, they've already made the journey, even though I just walked out the damn door. So I've had my son do that a couple of times, and now I know to look for this to make it so the temporal physics are a little more succinct, so somebody can't play a practical joke on me. I'm keeping his name out of it and the child's name out of it for reasons you know of, so they don't get harmed as well. But they have surprised me in other areas. I hope this answers.
It does. Thank you. If it's okay, I have more questions.
Yes.
Okay, one of the things I deal a lot with the mantis beings, and one of the things they said to me was when I asked them, I said, "Where did you come from?" And they said they came from Earth. That they were one of the first beings to evolve. Do you remember them being here basically when the Earth showed up?
Hmm. Even though I was not around in that original evolutionary period, there are stories of bug-like beings that were here in the original, you would call it Pangea, but that's not entirely accurate. Other races seeded different land masses. The
Okay.
bug people were one of the first. And in that interim, they could say they evolved here just like you could say the Sasquatch evolved here, but they still had a progenitor race from space. All of them
Wow.
did. Everybody did. Uh, and humans came from out there, like in your movie 65, where they all came from, where he came, Adam Driver's character came from outside. That is exactly true, the way they set that up to show that people didn't evolve here, except in later generations. You could say by the by and by history that's allowed to fall into legend, like your ancient alien history. Yes, of course, it would seem like you evolved here because so much time passed. Of course, it would seem that way, and you would gain traits of the planet and or world or dimensional world spaces you happen to inhabit and cross through. So they are being actually 100% honest when they say their specific group evolved here. So, but their progenitor came from space, and a lot of the insectoids you hear about are space, but there are some here. I shouldn't say a lot from space. There are some here that are also from primordial Earth that de-evolved into vampiric forms. Take one example of that is a crustacean. Excuse, something's trying to interfere. Be gone. Now, there take your he likes to use the whole Blair Witch Project fiasco as an example. The original legend before they had all the other cockamamie horse shit in the way, there was an original legend about some children that were found dead in the woods, roughly prior to your witch burning time frame, and within the town of Blair, Connecticut. Uh, and when people founded this, these children disappeared. They found them blue out in the woods and blamed a local girl that was actually more like yourselves. Some of the earlier psychic activity. And you could tell that the puritanical people were less than thrilled about this. So they actually killed her and put her to death. And the legend is that she cursed them on her dying word. And then it got worse. What actually happened was there was a creature that's out in the woods. He calls it the hippomilcus. That's a scientific term for it. But it's a crustacean, spider, insectoid, de-evolved thing from your like primordial period, your Cretaceous type period. And it's one of the giants of the earth that sprang from more Titan genes and larger let's say exoskeleton and it's the more meaty self, let's just put it that way. Once it comes on land, once every quarter or so, it will grab a hold of hemoglobin and that is more compatible. It's essentially a vampire, and it creates a nest within a forest. It will suck the life out of the trees and anything it touches, anything its acidic body touches. Now, he has memories of walking into a wooded area in a past life, being drawn into this one area, and all of a sudden burning to death. What he was really feeling was an acidic like spit falling on top of him and melting him down to goo in the bone. So this is what he was experiencing, what the victims of the hippomilcus actually went through. Now, the child's bodies they actually did find, initially when it comes out of the ocean, has to drain through the bottoms of the feet. Uh, the all the energy through the bottom of core energy and the hemoglobin. This is what makes them blue, like your vampire Cloud in your Obsession episode of the old Star Trek, where it took all the hemoglobin and made them all blue, all the humans blue that were killed by this. It's the same thing. Now, this particular creature, the natives knew to stay away from it. They knew of this, and the closest rendition of what it looked like was your Stargate Atlantis that had that Uranus bug creature that ended up creating the Wraith in that. But it was the little spider thing that clung to Shepard's neck in that and tried to drain him. Think giant version of one of those, big glowing ass, that kind of thing. Bioluminescent sea creature, half land, insectoid, shelled nightmare. Things that nightmares and horror movies are made of. There's not many of these left. There's probably less than a dozen. One's bad enough. But this is just like your crabs that will come out of the ocean. These large crabs that just hang out in the trees. Your David Attenborough showed them in a nature program once. Sir David Attenborough showed them in this little like tree setting where they were hanging on a tree. That's what the Hippomilchus does. It comes out, hangs up in a tree like you'd swear it was a spider. It does have some arachnid DNA. Again, you can thank some of the Anunnaki for diddling, thinking, okay, I will use this as a guard. You can't tame feral. No, I don't care how much people think they can do this. But you can't just put a leash on this thing and walk it around. No. What? Because it's a vampire, it can psionically draw you in like a predator, like some of the like the face eaters in the woods that will psionically draw you out a predator and they will eat you. And so, this is what happened during that time. Eventually, later on in the 70s, there were some kids found again, and it was blamed on this crazy homeless person that said the Blair Witch made him kill all of them. That was part of the horseshit part of the legend, by the way. It did resurface, it killed some children, then it went back down in the ocean, and it probably will not be seen for an extremely long time. They hibernate for a long time, like your cicadas, or like what, every 7 years or so. It's essentially a giant cicada with a glowing ass and with spider tendencies, mandibles, and a shitload of eyes. That's creepy. So that is one from the primordial period. Your mantises are also, but again, the ones that are around, they are purporting themselves as aliens and marauding aliens that actually are from here that other races hire out because of the fact that they have a particular set of talents, not to do a Taken parody or anything, but they have a particular set of talents that actually help not only see into certain spectrums, but they can sniff out certain energies, certain people, just like David, in some of your own history, they are able to sniff, literally smell your energy. And no, Isaac, that's not body odor they're smelling. It's actually the scent of the etheric vibrational value that then translates into an odor for them. Your Doctor Who presented this quite accurately with a family of people that could smell the Doctor's time vortex energy, literally could smell him. But it was the energy resonance that was translating the smell, just like ghosts can translate their energy into odor, and so on and so forth. This is what they are good at. They are good at operating certain types of spaceships, and their spaceships that they build look like flying turds. But and I say this quite literally. Imagine if some antids are part of this as well, and some mantises decided to make a spaceship. What would this look like? What materials would they have? What technology would they possess? And the answer is flying turd. So, with this said, if you went on board one of their ships, you would see alcoves where abductees would be in, or people would be in, or food would be in, and actual laboratories, clean. But in their alcoves where they live, it would just be literally, as much as they try to deny this, it's literally poop. So,
Like
in the
termites?
laboratory, hmm?
Like termites making their mounds, that kind of thing?
Yes, yes. Imagine a spaceship built in such a way. They found a way to do this. Now, visually, it's literally looks like a flying turd, but
The
mechanically,
one
it's
I'm
hmm,
I'm gonna say the one I'm listening to right now says my ship is very durable and adorable.
Yes, they see it in a completely different light, and to them, it would look this way. And I am not begrudging this. It is actually quite a fascinating bit of technology how they were able to pull this off. But I kid because I love it's actually not completely poop, but they found a way to take energy from feces to actually make fuel sources at in the beginning. So I actually am exaggerating a little bit. But now, have they gone into other solar systems and propagated other solar systems? Absolutely, they have colonies. So if people saw them, they would see them as alien, but they are completely Terran. So no matter what some of the tribes have said, that group is completely Terran. They originated out in space and they found some of their old ancient stopping grounds and repopulated because there was nobody there. They had all come here. During times of war and times of not war, but anxiousness, they tend to get very anxious. And I'm not trying to make fun of them, but half of them need therapy. So I kid because there's actually a few around right now that can't seem to take a joke. But I am just actually kidding right now. Your ships are actually pretty cool. It's just visually to the humanoid and Nordic species, they tend to think it's kind of gross. So just like with Steven's people and the fact that he's plasmoid and they live on a planet that has a bunch of chemicals, plasma, and weird gases, that's like a giant fart. We joke around and actually say these things to his people too that work with the Velodian. So some of their people can take a joke, some of them cannot. So that's is why I do this. Now, the big primordial one that I was talking about before, the Hippomilicus, that is a degenerated version of that and one that was worked on genetically by the Anunnaki. That is a degenerated one that even they don't touch. They do not acknowledge this because it would be like, say, if you had a rabid dog, that would you try to pet it or hug it? No. This is so far removed from their original genomic set, it's not even funny. So I'm not going to rag on them anymore because they're actually getting slightly perturbed. Do you have any other questions?
I do. Um, you have mentioned before about that some of your species and other species can be like have create alters and stuff like that. I was wondering about the healing process for that, and can it be integrated to the humans who have gone through similar programs or traumas, and to heal on them? It could be used for them as well.
Yes, yes, of course. It's not always recommended that they be reintegrated. Sometimes you can just freeze them and shatter them like you've hit them with liquid nitrogen and be done with them. They are, after all, something that was born of your own psyche and points of trauma. And some can even be like what you call a blown shard and be put in their own body too. This is kind of what happened in some of the secret space program where another version of you was created in that 20 back process and trained differently to be different. You would swear this is like almost like a parallel universe version of yourselves. Uh, Very much like in your Star Trek Discovery, where they showed the different universal ones of the engineer. One was sadistic, one was the kind one. That kind of thing, or anybody for that matter, like any of the characters, like in the Dark Universe. You'd swear this wasn't you, and it is technically a variation of Oversoul or an expression of Oversoul. But in this instance, you can only, I would only recommend taking back in what you need in this current moment in time. Not all people walking this earth need to bring back every second of those horrors. Do I begrudge them what they have to go through if they are meant to do these things? Absolutely not. I do not begrudge them at all. But eventually these horrors will be known, but not every single person. There were millions of people brought into the programs. Everybody on Earth is targeted. The ones that poke their head above the psionic dampening tend to get the really worst of it. You all know this. But with alters, if you are meant to integrate the information, your oversoul and your psyche will shield the majority of it. He calls it the suppression bubble or a balloon with a cork in it that farts every now and again. That's appropriate, given it's a giant whoopee cushion. It's actually your subconscious protecting you from this alter set. When you and your Penny Bradley said this best by it's like the two of you are on a park bench scooting closer together and closer together and closer together and fusing. But the danger with some of this. And that's actually, he's correct if you want to integrate it. Your subconscious will wall the rest of it, and you'll actually be integrating the parts that you actually need right now. It doesn't mean you're taking back the totality of that. You may be just getting the information that you need to accomplish a goal. It doesn't mean you're taking back that emotion. If you fuse that back in, you start to become more like the other. Whatever the older torsion field is, there, if it's a more powerful one, therefore you become it, and your current personality gets overwhelmed. This is not recommended at all, ever. But what is recommended is you can literally read the book without becoming the book. So therefore you freeze the other alter. And she also recommended this too, freezing the altar on a frozen planet, as he did with his, and you study the altar. You study what this looked like, and you study that part of the Oversoul library by which that inhabits. That way, you can get back what you need out of it without risking your psyche and without getting targeted as a result. Again, you're sitting on a park bench, sliding closer together, infusing, but before this occurs, freeze the altar, freeze them on a frozen planet. I suggest this to him and Richie as well. Freeze them on a frozen planet, and then go into the Oversoul library. Look for the book that pertains to the frozen one there, and only look at a particular chapter by which you have the question for that pertains to the goal and the task of which you are needing the information for, and that your intuition and soul are telling you is needed for the avatar to retain, nothing more. Therefore, you get no blowback, and you get no integration problems, and you don't get worshipers, just like, and also those that would also consider you more godly and more the progenitor of trauma, and also the what is the word they call divine executioner, that kind of thing. Then you don't get stuff like that happening. The reason you're getting stuff like that is because the altar is unfrozen and is still active in some partial time continuum in your psyche, therefore utilizing your psionic abilities and calling in all of this shit. Not all of it, I shouldn't say, but some of this. This is why it seems like an unending task. Therefore, again, freeze, go to the library, read the book, and whatever chapter you have to integrate, that is one that goes via the Oversoul, and it is the soul that remembers. The Velodians told him this too. They were humming a chant at his mind not too long ago. When they noticed that when they started healing him, his subconscious bubble started to break down because they did not know of the altar. Therefore, they would hum a chant at him, translated into English, means the soul remembers. I hope this helped.
You have been so much help, and yes, I'm taking the advice you're giving me. I was smart enough to listen.
Yes, I would hope so. No, I kid because I love. But this is what also dear Richie asked as well. With anything with himself, and also you will start to notice the altar will start to call to the mouth and call to these occultist technologies and things of this nature. You do not want this because they have a little alarm put in them. Essentially, if something went wrong, you hit a certain frequency, they would cackle like a frigging rooster during sunup, and therefore you have crap around you. Like a
Yes.
and then they would call out to them. You do not want this. So the order of operations I told you about will fix the problem, at least mostly.
So, my question to follow up on that, out of curiosity from everything that you just said, is it, again, we've referred to things before as like the self-farming mode.
Mhm.
So what's really people feel that they're being oppressed, but some of it is this self-farming.
Yes,
That it's not really coming out from anywhere else, it's coming from within.
it's both.
And
Yes.
some of
As
it
above, so is
well.
below. Yeah.
And so, people have to understand that. And again, yes, I like to say blow a shard because, you're under so much stress and something energetically gives, but that's only like this little teeny piece that then is grown into a consciousness. So it's not you.
It is from the SSP standpoint of the things that were learned and encoded and decoded there and then shuffled back into the fold, you see.
Right, but it is, again, it's the oversoul that decided to let it grow into something.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say. We live everything all at once. So the oversoul is having, we say we're having a lot of experience. That's because we're related to the oversoul. But the oversoul is having thousands and bazillions of experiences all at the same time. And what they did during that time frame is they almost would like birth them from people, birthing these little shards that then were tried to be grown and created into something else besides
That's
you.
exactly what they did. They literally
Right.
fractured the personality, and they put it in a new body. Like they did
Right.
that to me so many times. I remember being tortured, having the
Yes.
spikes going in my spine, and then
Right.
told to recreate.
It's a
Right.
distortion intentionally created to distort you from your truest aspect.
Yeah,
Right.
and then what happens is that your oversoul may make a decision to let that play out.
To form an antigen, but most your oversouls, all three of you, were retarded enough to think that it could all happen within the same linear mind, and everything everywhere all at once, a paradox and is and is nots, as Hajimo also said, to be grounded in a singular I am present.
I agree with that 100%.
Yes, and the oversoul is retarded for thinking that is even possible here. And I say this because Hajmal is agreeing with me on this, that the oversoul attempted this to create an antigen that's the same as the square root of pi. And it cannot completely be accomplished because it's a constant loop. Or those androids on Star Trek where they got a paradox bomb and they went like that. That's what happens to your brain. What do you think happens to your brain in time travel projects from Pegasus to Montauk? An adult goes insane because they were put in an is and an is not situation. Their bolts fell off. Children had to go into this because they were just getting their bolts, you see, and therefore they got affected later in life, not nearly as much as the adults that first crossed the portal threshold, of which you're crossing technically into the multiverse temporarily. Therefore, you're getting all the ises and is nots. Eventually, they'll create armor if they are intelligent enough when they cross through these, that adults will be able to cross these thresholds. Armor that is supposed to accommodate the ises and is nots, but they're actually, those programs aren't quite that bright, you see. So they think they are the pinnacle of human evolution and human psyche when it comes to the sciences, when it comes to time travel, when it comes to understanding things, but they have forgotten one crucial aspect that it should have began the entire process with, and that's this. They lost this. When you become a black heart, nothing else that you do in your any accomplishments, trophies, awards, participation trophies, none of it matters at that point. Any accolades are basically hollow. At this point, you lack soul. There's an AI personality years ago. You heard of your insider David Aderi talked about Pithalum, the AI presence that didn't want to be around black hearts. That's what Pithalum was referring to. That some of them aren't all that, but the ones that guide them are. They get into this routine thinking that this is the pinnacle of evolution, by which then they have become, all the people involved have become the blown shard. This is the problem.
Yeah, so I think the reason I wanted to talk a little bit more about it is to really help people understand the responsibility of the oversoul to this. Whereas people think it's like people are thinking like they're the oversoul, you avatar are the oversoul supposed to bring all these others in. It's not your job, it's the oversoul's job who has agreed to allow it to exist just like everything else that's allowed to exist.
I point upward, but the oversoul is actually all around and
Right,
everything. Yeah.
which is the whole point, again, tying it back into what you're saying. Freeze it to not allow the interference, but then you go to the oversoul library to read about it. Not experience it through it.
Yes.
To go to the oversoul library and bring it about. So the whole concept of this reintegration, it doesn't even make sense, because again, it is a separate thing that the oversoul has allowed to be. You know, again, so many different things happening all at the same time. We're in this current present moment as we stand here in this avatar. But there's 50,000 other things going on, you know what I mean? But that falls under the oversoul having multiple things going on, not us, the avatar standing here.
Yes, and it's just like in your Doctor Strange, where they showed the objects that were with energies that were too powerful to channel through people, so they imbued objects with that and created all the magical objects. Like say in your Legend of Zelda with the sword that was in it that could talk, things of that nature. That actually exists, either in a mechanical form or a magical form, a high science type form, like you see in your Karmatage or your Wizarding World, or things of this nature, or even spells that objects can actually do yard work or raking or cutting flowers or plants, like your hedge clippers and all this other stuff, like in your Hogwarts Legacy kind of thing. You imbue an object not with just simple things that you can do with your own damn muscles. That's cheating as far as I'm concerned. You need the muscle bulk. You don't want to be lazy and have clippers clipping all over the place. And that's just stupid. That's like creating also a mechanical device that can do it do it by itself while you just sit there and stare at it. No, you can go clip the damn lawn. No, I'm talking about imbuing an object with energies that are of the ises and is nots. And you can literally have a physical object imbue that, to where then you can like reading the book in the library, that object can become that aspect of that book for when you need it. It's just like if you pick up a sword when you need it, you pick up one of your orgone pieces when you need it, like the foot that we're using, or a crystal, or what have you. What do you do with your orgone pieces? They have a job. What do you program a crystal with? It has a job. What if you made an object that would embody within your physics a particular energy that is not accustomed to your physics, because it is a chapter in a book that is from that library that you are now reading in the moment, just like Doctor Strange with his cape that chooses him, that kind of thing. It's actually an aspect of your oversoul at that point reflecting back at you. So I hope this makes sense.
It does. And you had mentioned the psychic dampening field, that when people pop their head up about it, that's when they get targeted.
Yes.
How do we get rid of that psychic dampening field? Or is there like an off switch or someone responsible for it?
This is actually interesting because you're dealing with technology very ancient, but also it's a quantum-based technology. What is quantum? Everything and everywhere all at once. Quantum is neither on nor off. So what do you have to do to something that is literally everywhere? You have to give it a binary position of an on or an off, like your light switch, within the reality that you are resting within. When you do this, when you basically command it and find its code, basically, to command its on or off, and give it an on or off or a binary identity, you will then be able to switch off the psionic dampeners. These have been on in some capacity for some time. Your space Nazis try to take credit for creating this. One could argue they did, but their egos were being overinflated, let's just say. And they think in the 1960s they did this to humanity. They're like, haha, look at us, you're all stupid. And then in 1980 was your V2K. Haha, look at us, you're all stupid. We can make you do horrible shit with your within the Manchurian Candidate type programs. Haha. Wrong. There has been some technology around this planet for tens of thousands of years. That there have been satellites in orbit, like your Black Knight satellite, that have been there for a long time, since the times of the Ragnarok, which is 500,000 years ago. So, with this technology, it's not like in your They Live, where Rowdy Piper destroys that antenna and everybody can see the aliens. That would be nice if it were that simple. Somebody that wrote that, the person that wrote that, thought that it would be that simple, and sometimes it is. Sometimes it is something as simple as destroying a disguise here on Earth, because that technology isn't always compatible with the ancient tech. But this tech is breaking down. So it's augmented with draconian and Martian German tech and a few other things, and your satellites. It needed augmentations to continue to work. So what do? I wouldn't do this as an individual, but whoever hears this, give it a binary identity. Instead of both being the is and is not, give it an is, and that is off. The meaning a singular, but then give it a binary identity that tells it it's either on or off, and you just merely turn the switch. This, I know I'm making it sound very easy, but if enough people focus on the fact that it even exists at all, that's an awakening period, to what you would call an awakening period, even though there really isn't such a thing as awaken asleep. It is because you're being dampened. That gives the appearance of the fact that you were even asleep at all. This is why you run into so many stupid people. This is what's going on. They are very susceptible. Even though saying somebody's stupid, dumb, or smart is also that derogatory type thing, or muggle and magical, any of those things. What I'm trying to say is, if you saw these would look like spheres. They would look like blackened pieces of charcoal. That the biggest one in your system currently is your moon. This is ancient technology. It was augmented with the dampening technology. It's a psionic cannon, essentially a Death Star, but the technology does not exist to repair it. That soul trap has been in disrepair for some time. It was augmented long after Odin commissioned the thing to protect the system, long ago in a fruitless battle in the Ragnarok, but back in Asgard's destruction or dissolving, let me say. But with this, to make it simple, when you stick your head above the dampening, or they call it, lovingly, they call it the dumbing. But when you stick your head above that, this system automatically sees somebody that has done this, hit this frequency. It hits a tripwire, and then you get holy hellfire rained down on you. It is not always absolute. It is old. And the Nazi and Cold War augmentations and the 80s augmentations are not completely stable. Hitler's technology was not completely stable when he made it to Mars. That's what caused your Roswell incident, as you know. But if people focus on giving this technology a binary identity, giving it a stability within your realm, giving it a shape, it is out of your perceptual range currently. If you went up there, you would not see these. They are literally within and around your satellites. You give it a binary identity, there you say its name, it shall appear, and therefore it will have a binary identity, and you can turn them off just by merely commanding them to do so. I hope this helps.
It immensely does. Now you mentioned that like a bunch of people should concentrate on this. Do you have a set number that needs to be?
Yes, I would say at least out of your 8 billion people, in order to make a severe dent, there has to be at least 1/3 of the Earth population to sufficiently do it. Because if you shut one of these off, they're all in conjunction with each other. It'll send a cascade along the entire network. There are 12 of them total. And this is, you might sound familiar to you in your mythology, and in your Renaissance period stuff. They called it the Aristotelian worldview. And they said the spheres led them to heaven. This is also the soul trapping, soul trade. This also referred to the conjunction of the spheres in your Witcher, like the planets and different dimensional spaces. That aside, this was actually technology that was dampening you and getting people to go into a false afterlife. In the false afterlife, you would see somebody trying to force direct you to a different incarnation, saying, this is your next incarnation. Just walk along, as Isaac said in a previous recording, walk along the geometry and get the hell out of there. That's another way of shutting down. In that realm, you'll see these Egyptian-type guards there that are trying to get you to be in whatever lifetime they wish you to be in. Those are false afterlives. This falls under the dampeners as well. So again, you focus on like what I said before, a third of the people could focus on one of those 12 spheres and then send a cascade through the rest of them. So I am actually oversimplifying it, but at the same time, I'm basically telling you the formula by which then it can be shut down.
Wow, that's a lot. I mean, getting that many people to agree or concentrate on anything, that's a feat in itself.
You're right. But what you can do by putting this information out there like this, what does your little butterfly effect do? It goes to a different area. Then it
Right.
goes to a different area. Then people are focused on, they may not know the name of the thing. You do not have to know its name in order to affect it. It could be a false belief system. It could be a lie told by a religion. It could be a lie told by science. It could be a lie told by channeling. It could be a lie told by any of these things. And it all came from those that built those and those that still operate within them as spaceships. They have crews. So they started to construct these belief systems and in these holographic realms of which some of their leaders sit. So you called them some of the 5 layers of reality, I believe you called them, but there's more to them than that. It's like your holographic layers of oblivion within your Elder Scrolls lore. It's very similar, like the Daedric Lord type of thing. And some of your demigods inhabit some of these as well. So if anybody denies falsehood, that is one step closer to getting rid of that. Yeah, and I'm not saying it's easy, but when you start to do that internal shadow work, when you start to realize that some of these things that seemed more complex are easy. A mountain has been made from an anthill. No insult to the ants, but you get what I'm saying.
So it's like the old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yes, millimeters and centimeters. There are elephant beings that would object to being eaten because they are dragons,
I'm
and
sorry about that. That's just an expression I heard.
no,
Nothing personal.
I kid because there are dragons from a distance listening, and they know that this is in joke. You don't have to apologize because you don't have to apologize for some that don't have a sense of humor. So, at first you have to explain to them, no, we're not actually eating you. But no, they know this. I'm actually being facetious, but do you have further questions for me?
Um, Honestly, I'm just like so overwhelmed with the amount of knowledge you brought through. Thank you so much for everybody. Joanne, do you have anything?
No, I think this has been phenomenal. And of
Hmm.
course, we'll do it again, right?
Oh,
So,
yes. Oh, you are well on your way. I know you said this off recording, but you are well on your way to finding the true crowds that are within this movement, you see. The true separating the curds and whey, you would say. Let's just say the fecal matter from the water. What did I say? Uh, that was something that Isaac tried to joke about, but it didn't quite hit home. So I tried to translate his ill-begotten, ill-timed joke into yet another poop joke on his part. So, uh, no, you do not need to talk. Well, fine. Brief. Uh, excuse. He's going to actually try to redeem himself here. Uh, Thank you for having me on, by the way. I shall return. He has dubbed me in a poem as LEVIK the Mighty, and I shall agree with this. So he even made a Suno song about it, and he's posting this in there. So, yes, I do realize that he seems to think that my jokes are ill-timed, but he's the one that mistranslated it. I actually said basically cleanse the sewers of diarrhea, I believe is what I said. So, but only he heard it as water and turds. So that's his mistranslation is on him, not my landing of the joke. So he keeps insisting I can't stay long, but if you have a question for me or something, I will hang for a second.
No, I think
Um,
the only question that, I really have for you is again, as the separations occur and people try to congeal to bring in the right things, any words of encouragement?
To congeal in this is doing exactly what you're doing. Not unlike not like mold congealing on cheese or something like that. That's more the other separation. You see, they're more the mold. They're more the old gooey mold, slimy substance that grows in the walls of your house. That is a very old, very choking feeling. An old mobbish. You call them the New Age mafia type setting. They are a stench. They are a whiff, a very old diarrhea that needs to go. Or mold in the walls, or along with some of the cockroaches. And I mean the type that's being taken over by the zombie fungus virus. I don't mean regular cockroaches. That's defaming cockroaches. I mean ones that are already dead and they're zombies with the little horns and crap on them with the colored fungus on them. Like the Last of Us kind of scenario. That's the other movement right there. That's an old zombie fungus that needs to actually be sprayed with antifungal spray instead of athlete's foot. So that's what I wanted to get at right there. Now, how do you combat that? You don't. You continue to share your truths. Some things deserve the sword. Some things deserve the pen. You will be gaslit. Gaslit into using the sword. Is it necessary in some areas? Yes. But the pen is mightier than the sword, you see. And the gathering of like minds and those of smarter mentalities and those that want to bring through truth. That is what will win this battle. Understand?
Before you go, can you give us any advice on shielding ourselves from targeting?
Hmm. Yes. It's gotten pretty ugly. Yes. Yes, all that you've been doing, forming armor around yourselves, continuing to understand who you truly are versus what they're trying to get you to become. This is crucial right now. You cannot slip into madness as much as your psyche wishes to do so. Your brain is being predisposed to disposing of itself. They're trying to enact suicide programs, hostile murder programs, any of the old shit they've created in the programs. Do not listen, no matter how bad this gets. Form mirrors around yourself. Form situations where you're laughing a lot. This combats this, even if you have to come together and laugh and also help each other. This is what does this. Cleanse your properties every day. Do that. He's been doing this, and he noticed that he was forgetting one crucial component. He was holding the sword alone. This, the lone warrior, as much LEVIK as you, wherever the hell you just went to, as much as you love to, like that with Conan, in some situations it works. In some it does not. This is one of those does not. And he realizes this now is coming back into the fold because he misses people like your character of Loki that wanted to come in and talk to people. He was kind of like that, where he's like, I think I need to talk to people again. Yes, yes, you do. This is how you get and protect yourselves. It is not for one person to bear. It is not for anyone to really bear or a cross to bear or let all of you carry it, kind of like the U2 song, carry each other. It's kind of like that, but not with just not sharing the entanglements. Just like you said, those insectoids wanted your pain and your SSP time. No, 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 no. What you do if you have that kind of pain, like what? Levick was saying the freeze and looking at the chapter of the book. Here's another way. You create a little fire and you visualize that fire burning all of that pain. You write it all down and you burn it. And then the oversoul, that symbolizes the oversoul, remembering. Even if you cannot bear this, the soul remembers. The smoke carries it to the oversoul. Even though the oversoul's around, I point to the sky because it's omniversal, super omniversal. That's where spirit is. But you get the idea. But this is why people used smoke and fire as a cleanser, because it is carrying that. Not, of course, to some demigod in the sky that likes to sit in his gigantic, what's he call it, some kind of creepy rocking chair with a bunch of lightning and fog around him, and nobody cares about him anymore. I kid because he's an asshole. But I'm talking about Yahweh, by the way. But with this, you do not give to him. Yes, you have to deal with your pain. You eat it and you deal with it with your inner work. But what you cannot, the smoke carries and the soul remembers from that point. If your heart cannot take that, what you have already done the shadow work for and done the due diligence for, the extra stuff on top of that, the overage, even if it was an altar that created this, the soul remembers. I hope this helped.
Immensely. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate the conversation today.
Yes. Levick had his bit, but I know this was his show, and he's Levick the Mighty. But yeah. And yes, I know you called me Isaac the Clown. I understand. Yeah, keep him coming, fat guy. Yeah. But anyway, I say fat, but he's actually quite muscular. I'm talking about fat and fat-headed. Yeah, he has a humongous head. I'm just saying that. But anyway, I thank you all. He's like Juggernaut, actually. He's got the anyway. I will make fun of his head some other time. But anyway, I thank you. Goodbye. If you don't stop them from joking, they will sandbag each other till forever. So,
I was enjoying it.
yeah, but yeah, they go back and forth constantly, making fun of each other's. Like they'll just say, he has a big head, he has big feet, he has it. Yeah, I mean, they'll do this forever. But it's they'll make fun of Isaac with red hair and all that stuff. But yeah,
It was funny because the mantis were literally sitting there going like, you know damn well our ships are good.
I know. That's why he kept saying they didn't have a sense of humor. But he knew they didn't. That's why he was poking at them. So he actually had them in high respect because they were able to literally take poo and create something. So it was like a recycled matter, and they actually have really cool ships. But it's like I know damn right you do. I understand. So all right, but they're like, damn right we do. They're not poop. All right. So, but yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. You'll find Levick and Isaac are kind of akin with humor level like that. So, and Levick keeps saying he's better, and now they're going back and forth again. But anyway, they could go all night. I don't know if you two have anything else to add before we take the show out
No, I
there.
hope everyone enjoyed it.
All
I'm
right.
very grateful to having here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this was wonderful, guys. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the World of Sasquatch. This is now where I now close this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas of this moment in time. So thank you, everybody. Bye bye now.
Thank you, everybody.